Yanzi was a wise man that lived in Qisted over 2,500 years ago. Unfortunately, God didn't give him a good appearance to match his wisdom. Yanzi was tiny and ugly. Once, the king of the Qi state sent Yanzi as an envoy to the Chu state. The king of the Chu wanted to make the state of Qi look bad by humiliating Yanzi. Knowing that Yanzi was very short, so the king of the Chu state asked somebody to open a small gate, only 5 feet high, next to the main city gate. And he asked the soldier who guarded the gate not to open the door when Yanzi came, and let Yanzi enter through the small gate. In the early morning of the next day, when Yanzi came to the capital city, seeing that the main gate was closed, so Yanzi asked someone to knock on the door. Then the soldier who guarded the gate came out and said, I heard that the envoy of the Qi state was very short, so that small gate is big enough for him. Yanzi immediately understood the intention of the king of the Chu state. He smiled and said, Only those who will visit Dog Kingdom will enter through the dog gate. Please ask your king where this place is. If this is a dog kingdom, I will naturally enter through that dog gate. The guard passed the words to the king. The king had no choice but to let Yanzi come in through that main city gate. When Yanzi went to see the king of the Chu state, the king saw that Yanzi was indeed very short. He said arrogantly, Is there no one left in Qi state? Yanzi knew that the king was trying to make things difficult. So he replied, Our capital city Linzi is full of people. If everyone raises their leaves, the sun will be covered. If everyone sweats, it is like raining heavily. And the streets are so packed with people who walked shoulder to shoulder and toe to heel. How could your majesty say that there are no people in Qi state? The king smiled and said, If that's the case, then why would Qi state send someone like you as an ambassador? Yanzi replied calmly, Oh, your majesty may not know this. Our Qi state is particular about the envoys we send. Bright and talented envoys are sent to dignified and respectable places. Incompetent envoys are sent to failed states. I am the most incompetent one. That's why I have been sent here to Chu state. The king of the Chu state wanted to humiliate the Yanzi, but only to bring humiliation to himself. Later, the king held a banquet for Yanzi, and during the meal, 2 soldiers walked in with a person who was tied up. The king asked, What's the matter with this person? The soldiers replied, He's a thief. Then the king asked again, seemingly casually, Where did he come from? The soldiers replied, He's from the Qi state. Then the king looked at Yanzi and asked in a puzzled way, Do the people in Qi state like to be thieves? Yanzi stood up and answered, Your Majesty, if you plant an orange tree in the south of the Huaihe River, you will get sweet big oranges. On the contrary, if you plant the same orange tree, in the north of the Huaihe River, you will get bitter small oranges. They are the same fruit, but the environment has changed them. Similarly, people live in peace and work very hard in Qi state. However, when they move to Chu state, they become thieves. Does the environment in Chu state cause people to steal? Hearing this, the king was at a loss for words. After being silent for a while, he smiled bitterly and said, Sages are not to be joked with. I have made a fool of myself. Yanzi used his wisdom to defend the dignity of Qi state. Although Yanzi was very short and ugly, he was very eloquent and talented. So never judge a book by its cover. Thank you for watching. If you want to hear more stories, please subscribe to my channel.